Well, it seems there's a little bit of executive shakeup going on at Xbox as a new boss for Microsoft Game Studios has just been appointed. What does it mean for us? Well, let's talk about that, shall we? What is going on, guys? Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with another video. And if you missed it earlier today, I reported on the rumor that Eurogamer is basically saying that Fable is indeed coming back, and that Playground Games, the makers of the very successful Forza Horizon Racing series, are the ones making it. Now, the video's pretty long, but I go over a whole bunch of topics, like my expectations for the title, when we are actually going to see it, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So when you got the time, make sure you check that video out. But this video is going to be about the new boss of Microsoft Game Studios. Now, Phil Spencer used to run Microsoft Game Studios. In fact, has run it for the last couple years. Even while he was the head of Xbox, he was doing a couple different jobs. Well, he appointed a new leader, and that person is Matt Booty. Now, if you don't know who Matt Booty is, he was the one in charge of Minecraft. Now, he has been promoted to corporate vice president of Microsoft Studios, making him the top game executive reporting to his boss, Phil Spencer. Now, Phil Spencer got promoted last year to executive vice president in a strategic role overseeing all games, game hardware, and game platform at Microsoft. And that promotion left the job of overseeing game development and publishing open. And now Matt Booty is the one to fill that post. And the executives go on to say that it sets in motion a clear succession plan within the games business and beefs up the company's ability to move quickly in games. Now, there is a whole article with an interview between both Phil and Matt at VentureBeat, so check that article out when you got the time. But this is pretty interesting because for a long time, Phil not only has been in charge of running everything Xbox, but he's also been in charge of running first party. I know there's a little bit of information out there among people who assumed wrongly that Shannon Loftus was in fact running first party studios, but it's been Phil. But now that Matt Booty has been promoted, all the studio heads will report to Matt, and then Matt will report to Phil. Now, Phil said that he will still be in charge of the grand strategy for games, and that Matt Booty will now be in charge of executing that strategy in games publishing. Now, who actually reports to Matt Booty? Well, it's all the first party studios. So Matt Booty's organization includes 343 Industries, The Coalition, Mojang, Rare, Turn 10 Studios, and Global Publishing. Phil Spencer said that Matt Booty will be in charge of expanding those operations, and I know you're going to like this next sentence, as Microsoft is devoting more resources to its games division. This is something I have said in the past, that with Phil Spencer's promotion to the executive level at Microsoft, that Microsoft themselves sees value in the division when before there really wasn't. I know last year wasn't necessarily a great year for exclusive games on Xbox. There wasn't a lot of money to go around. Things were cut. Certain people within the organization really didn't believe in Xbox, but now with the CEO's blessing, that is all going to change. Yeah, it's going to take years. As we know, the Fable game that I talked about earlier today, that's not going to come out for some time because video games take 3 to 5 years to make. But this change also signals that Microsoft is willing and are going to devote more resources to their games division. And Phil says it right here in this little quote. He goes on to say, "I wanted to make sure we had the right organization in place to deliver on our content goals. With that, I made the decision that I wanted to anoint a leader of our Microsoft Studios organization, which if you tracked it, I've had the leaders of our individual franchises reporting to me for the last 3.5 years. That's been great in driving our all-up strategy and getting us to the point where Satya was willing and eager to make the investment in gaming that he's made. But it's also become very clear to me that we're going to invest more in content, which we are doing, and that a unified studios leadership organization was going to be critical to our long-term success. With that in mind, I've asked Matt Booty to step up the role of leading Microsoft Studios. So there you go again, Phil reiterating in the quote that they are going to make a big investment of gaming, and that not only are they going to do it, they are currently doing it. So a lot of Xbox fans, I know you've been wondering what is going on, what is Microsoft plans? Well, this is another kind of clue, another cog in the wheel, another sign that the stuff is happening. Microsoft is doubling down on Xbox and making it a core component of Microsoft business, and they are going to be investing heavily in the platform and the first-party games, and that is why it was crucial that Phil get a person to run that for him. So all those heads will report to Matt, and Matt then reports to Phil. So it makes Phil's job easier, a little bit more of a typical hierarchy at a corporation. Now, if you're wondering about Matt Booty's previous credentials, he used to work at Midway for quite some time. He was the general manager of Midway's Chicago studio. He helped work alongside the teams making Mortal Kombat, NBA Jam, NFL Blitz, Cruisin' USA, and he eventually became the CEO of Midway back in 2008. In this quote here, he says, "Most important will be to get behind the idea that we live and die by the great games we make. Content is extremely important to our strategy going forward. That's the approach I have, to come into it as a service role, as an opportunity to provide a layer of leadership and help the studio heads so they can focus on making great games." And that is all we want, is just more games and more great games. Now, what franchises are Matt Booty in charge of? He's actually in charge of a lot. Matt Booty is going to oversee developing and publishing Microsoft games for console, PC, and mobile platforms. He's going to oversee the other executives who are responsible for the franchises such as Age of Empires, Crackdown, Forza, Gears of War, Halo, Killer Instinct, Minecraft, Microsoft Solitaire, State of Decay, and much more. And his role includes coming up with budgets, resources, and deadlines. Phil Spencer said that Matt Booty will be in charge of expanding all these operations and all these IPs, and that they are devoting more resources to its game business. Now, I know a lot of people out there assumed that Shannon Loftus was the one, in fact, running Microsoft Game Studios, but she, in fact, is running Microsoft Global Publishing, which is completely different. So I'm happy to see this kind of misnomer or this misinformation fall to the wayside, because Shannon Loftus always just ran a group which commissions outside developers to make games based on Microsoft intellectual property. So I'm kind of happy to see that misinformation die, because a lot of people assumed Shannon was in charge of certain decisions that she wasn't of. And now they know the man behind it. It is basically Phil was running first party for 3.5 years, even into his new job. And, well, now Matt Booty is in charge of first party. So everybody reports to Matt, and Matt reports directly to Phil. Now, are you kind of curious to see what type of games are going to be made under Matt? I am. We kind of knew what to expect under Phil. Matt is somebody else that I don't really know very much. He's done a great job with Minecraft as a steward for it. The game's blown up even more once Microsoft acquired it. And I saw this quote in the article that I think is pretty good, and I wanted to relay it to you guys. So he goes on to say, "On the creative side, I've always had a golden rule to stay out of the way of game teams as far as where they go with design and the craft of making their games. But at the same time, I think there's a lot to be gained by supporting them and providing a layer of administrative help, just a layer of operational help, so they can focus on making the game. My mantra has always been that I think I'm doing a good job inside of a studio if the game team shows up to work and the only thing they need to worry about is making the game." So this change just happened within Microsoft, and who knows how long you'll actually see any sort of fruit bearing from this change. As we all know, games take a long time to make. The rumored Fable, which I talked about earlier today, won't be coming out for quite some time. 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. but it's nice to see Microsoft get its act together. You know, Phil now just needs to be worried about his role. He doesn't have to do another role, and now Matt is strictly focused on running first party. And within this article and in the interviews that you can read for yourself, they mention time and time again that the game investment is coming. Microsoft is fully committed to gaming, and the investment is coming, and they are currently investing in more games and things on the Xbox side, which is always great to see. So what do you guys think about this? What do you think about Phil Spencer giving up or moving on from his position at Microsoft Game Studios and the new person running it, Matt Booty? Do you think that's a good choice? If so, let me know what you think. If not, who would you have want running Microsoft Game Studio from the heads? Would you have rather had Rod Ferguson, who runs the Coalition, or Bonnie Ross, who runs 343 Industries? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, if you want to support the channel, make sure you hit that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're new or haven't already. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're always notified when I drop new videos, as YouTube is a little finicky about sending out notifications. Make sure you also share this out on social media, as I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Me and Jez are going to have a lot to talk about on tomorrow's Xbox 2 podcast, so make sure you mark that down on your calendar. Anyways, guys, hope you have a great rest of the day, and I'll see everybody in the next video. Later, guys.